Jeff Hardy, the charismatic enigma.
Phenomenal one, AJ Styles.
Guys, it's me, Pia Toscano from American Idol.
This is Matt Hardy.
Chuck Zito, and you're watching Ring Fever.
There is no cure! You got to be kidding me!
Hello everyone, this is Il Capo Jason Gotti, your host with the most, one of the best unsigned professional wrestlers in the game today. And what you are listening to now is the Ring Fever radio show, where the fans are the stars. How's it going, everybody? Once again, we're here with another edition of the Ring Fever radio show, and I have a very special guest with me tonight. Could possibly be the co-host of this show, somebody, one of the very few that is more, I would say, or just as knowledgeable with MMA info and stats and history as me. The one and only from FWE Wrestling, one of the best referees in the business, in my personal opinion, the one and only Uncle Steve. How's it going, buddy?
I'm in the house. I'm feeling great. I'm super excited to be on the boat for this one. And honestly, I've been waiting to have a chance to talk some MMA, and I am very, very ecstatic to be a part of it all.
Well, I'm glad that you're happy, bro. For the fans that don't know, Steve is a referee for FWE, as I said. That's how I met him, and we became friends. I don't meet that many people that know as much information as me, but this guy's one of them. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to let my buddy Steve take over a little bit. Steve, whatever you want to talk about MMA-wise, we got a half an hour. You let me know. What do you want to talk about tonight, buddy?
Let's do it, brother. Very first thing, I got to go right to it. Next season of The Ultimate Fighter, for those of you who are still watching, next Ultimate Fighter, we got the coaches of John Jones and Chael Sonnen.
Oh, boy.
What is going on, UFC?
Yeah, man. You know, I mean, there are definitely a lot of people besides yourself that are pissed off about this decision because Sonnen, you know, coming off the loss to Anderson Silva for a second time, this is his first fight as light heavyweight since 2006, I believe. Who did he lose to? Was it Luter that he lost to?
I thought. Was it might have been a submission loss to Bottle with?
Yeah, no, he lost with a submission, but I can't think off the top of my head who it was that beat him. It might have been Travis Luter. I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
I think that, yeah.
But anyway, besides the point, Sonnen is now dropping down to light heavyweight, and a lot of people, myself included, think that he's talked his way into a fight. What do you think, Steve?
Honestly, I completely agree. And I will be the first person. I'm actually a Chael Sonnen fan. I really like Chael. I think he's actually, which is something that most people don't. Most people hate Chael. I think he's a really talented fighter, and I think he's probably one of the most exciting, if not hilarious fighters to be in the cage, simply because he's one of the few guys that actually genuinely has a personality, which is not something you really see in the MMA scene, unfortunately. And honestly, I thought he would have had a much, much, much better performance his second time around against Anderson Silva. And as both you and I and all the viewers saw, unfortunately, he got hammered in the second round rather easily. And he managed to, use his his tools, if you will, his mouth, to kind of project himself into a position that very many people don't think he deserves. Honestly, where he landed, where his mouth has taken him, that is the number one contender for light heavyweight. It literally blows my mind. And in my opinion, given what we've seen with the UFC and the light heavyweight division and the champions that it's had, we had Liddell, we have Ortiz, Rampage Jackson, Forster. There's been an unbelievable amount of talented fighters, and every one of those championship contests has had a lot to it, and Chael just literally came in, spoke up, caused a little, chaos, and Dana White gave in. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right in what you're saying. The thing about Chael too, we did come off a loss. Chael, a lot of people want to talk smack and talk shit and whatever. We got a lot of armchair quarterbacks, so to speak. But if Chael didn't miss that spinning back fist, I think personally we would have had a new champion. He was fucking Anderson Silva up in the first round, and even in the beginning of the second round, Anderson got some good shots in. But it is what it is. But I agree with you as far as Chael talking his way into a fight. The thing with that is I agree with what you're saying, but I also see it from a business standpoint of Dana White. You know what I'm saying? John Jones is, and listen, I don't like John Jones and I don't like Chael Sonnen, either one of them. I think they're both good fighters, I really do, but I just don't like them. He talked his way into it, but I think from a marketing standpoint and a business standpoint and a promoter standpoint, I can see his view. There's really nobody as far as generating pay-per-view buys to want to fight John Jones. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why he's in that position. As far as does Chael Sonnen deserve this championship? Absolutely not. The number one contender, Dan Hendo Henderson, which we both are a fan of, he's sidelined right now. And you got how about Glover Texacara? You know what I'm saying? That dude, I think, could beat Jones and is way more deserving than someone like Chael Sonnen. But again, Glover doesn't have markability, and that's the thing that people forget. A lot of people, especially pure MMA enthusiasts, they like to talk shit about pro wrestling, which I do, you ref, and we both love. But what they don't know is a lot of fighters, and I know this firsthand, love pro wrestling and grew up with it. And I think that MMA, to a certain degree, can benefit from the pro wrestling. Obviously, you see that with Chael Sonnen. Before Chael Sonnen, a lot of people don't know, was Josh Barnett. Barnett was the king of the trash talk, who is also, I'm sorry, Steve, go ahead.
No, I was completely agreeing with you. You literally took the thoughts right out of my mind.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Barnett, dabbled in both. You know what I'm saying? Even before Josh Barnett, as far as pro wrestlers, we had Dan the Beast Severn, who was a big-time star in the early days of UFC. But Dan Severn didn't have the charisma that a Josh Barnett and damn sure Chael Sonnen don't have. See, the problem is, or it's not a problem, is Barnett, to me anyway, not to go off topic, but Barnett don't play the game at all. Sonnen plays the game, okay? He's not anti the game. He's not Nick Diaz, whatever. Barnett don't give a shit, speaks his own mind, he's his own man, which I respect. So you won't see somebody like Barnett really get pushed by the UFC, so to speak. Barnett could. Barnett's a hell of a fighter, but I don't really want to harbor on him. But yeah, absolutely agree with you. Chael Sonnen talked his way into a fight, and it's bullshit. But then again, it's also a business, and they need to sell pay-per-view buys. What do you think about that, Steve?
You know what? Honestly, looking at both sides, that's the one thing that's a saving grace, is that Chael does have a personality, and Jones is already marketed. He's very marketable. He already has a contract with Nike. He has the face of, that you would see on a poster and be like, that guy looks like an athlete. He looks like a sports star. So once you mesh those two factors, from a business standpoint, it's a great clash. It may not, I disagree with the fact that Chael should be getting a title shot. However, they really need to rekindle the fire of the Ultimate Fighter, which is moving on to its 30th season at this point, and really, really needs something that's going to, trigger a new fan base, trigger something of a new interest, because with so many seasons and so many guys, especially when the coaches don't lack any personality and they're focal point of the show, Chael really does fit the bill in that regard. So I can't disagree with that.
Absolutely, and I've watched a couple episodes of The Ultimate Fighter. Not that it's completely terrible, but I don't particularly think it's that exciting. I work overnights now. I work an overnight shift, so it's not a priority for me to watch that and then go to work. I have other things to do. You know what I'm saying? Whereas back in the day, even before I really got hardcore into MMA, I remember watching Tito Ortiz and Shamrock. Ultimate Fighter Season 3. Years ago, and I'm like, oh, this is great, it's the entertainment aspect. I absolutely think that John Jones and Chael Sonnen will be entertaining. Not so much John Jones himself, but Chael, man, you can put Chael in there with anybody, And he has the it factor as far as personality and being able to market the UFC, market the fights, and hype the fights up. And that's perfect because the Ultimate Fighter is absolutely stagnant. And that's why the numbers are declining. People got to realize too that you can be a great fighter, right? And there are a lot of great fighters, but they're not draws for certain reasons. People like to see over-the-top characters. Now, listen, not everybody can be, a really, really super, tall, lanky guy. Like John Jones is blessed genetically. That's great. Not everybody's like them. But if John Jones didn't kick everyone's ass, nobody would give a shit about John Jones. And that's his marketability. Chael, what's his record? Like 26-11 now? Something like that.
At this point, he's double digits in the losses, which is pretty crazy.
Exactly. But his marketability is the talking. People forget Chael Sonnen's been around, I believe, since 2000. He, the first time I heard about Chael Sonnen, and I wasn't into MMA at this point. One of my buddies watched it here and there, and I actually seen this fight, was when he fought Paulo Filho, former Pride superstar. And he got tapped out. I believe it was a triangle transition to an armbar, and then they had the rematch, and he kicked his ass. So Chael definitely has holes in his game. Chael, lacks submission defense. I think everybody can agree to that, especially to a certain degree. But now, you know what? I like I said, I agree what you're saying, but I disagree as far as being fair, and I can see a lot of people being upset with that. But, there's an old saying, especially in professional wrestling, Steve, as you know, controversy creates cash. What do you think, my friend?
That's definitely something that the UFC can thrive off, especially considering their year has been very lackluster. The amount of injuries, we don't even want to mention the debacle that was UFC 151, which was a cancellation, which for any business, especially given the amount of money and hype that is the UFC, being the NFL of MMA, canceling a show entirely was dramatic. So they desperately need something that's going to, again, ignite the fire, bring back the MMA scene to what they want, which is more mainstream. And I completely agree. I feel like, not to, circumvent the conversation, but I would love to actually see Chael Sonnen do some WWE-related activity, because he does have a very entertaining personality. Say what you will, you don't have to agree with Chael, you don't have to even like the guy, you may be his best friend, regardless. When he talks, he's incredibly funny, he might be wrong, he might be right, he might completely make things up, but it's very funny, it's very entertaining, and people will listen. People will tune in to want to watch Chael get beat. People will tune in to want to see him win. And that kind of personality is something that, unfortunately, like you mentioned before, a guy like Glover Teixeira or somebody, someone like Alexander Gustafsson, other top-tier light heavyweights lack, unfortunately. Those guys are extremely talented. They make a name for themselves with their fists. But, again, for something as integral to the UFC as the Ultimate Fighter has been, they really need someone who is going to be out there, colorful, outstanding, willing to speak his mind, have no regard for what he says in the cage, outside of the cage. And I think from that standpoint, he doesn't deserve the title shot by any means, but he will draw ratings.
Absolutely, Steve. I agree with you 100%. Yes, Chael can definitely has something about him that can draw, people to watch him, you know what I mean? Kind of like old school WWE, WWF, or WWE, whatever, Roddy Piper. People wanted to see him get his ass kicked. People are going to pay to see Chael get his ass kicked. Whether they can, he's not going to get his ass, or I'm sorry, whether they don't believe that he's going to win or whatever, they're still going to pay attention. And that's the thing. And it's like you said, most of the things that he says, people, whatever, he makes a buzz about, you know what I'm saying? And I think, you're right. Most sociopaths, which I believe Chael is, are charming. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely should be interesting. I, for one, am looking forward to the Ultimate Fighter now, which I wasn't before, and I think you are too. Now, let's transition a little bit, because I want to get this into before we run out of time. What do you think about Minotaur Nogueira, right, Steve? Somebody who is a true legend, a true superstar, a man of valor, a man of integrity, a man who truly embraces the Bushido samurai spirit. Do you think that Nog needs to retire, or do you think Nog still has a couple good fights in him?
I'm a huge, big Nogueira fan. I've been following him since his days in Pride. And honestly, he's put on, win or lose, some of the best and most legendary fights I've ever seen. Given what I've seen of his last couple performances, which has unfortunately been alternating wins and losses, and all in finishes actually.
Yeah.
I want to see him throw in the towel.
Exactly.
Even though his performance against Dave Herman was astounding. I was very impressed. I actually called it perfectly to a T, a second round submission. So everyone tune in, called that one perfectly. However, that performance was against someone like Dave Herman. And not to knock Dave Herman, who's been in the cage with very tough opponents such as Stefan Struve, Roy Nelson, etc. I don't think, looking at the top guys at heavyweight, I just don't think Knox stands a chance anymore.
No, you know what? I completely agree with you, and I'm gonna even go as far to say I'm gonna knock Dave Herman because I'm gonna call a spade a spade. Dave Herman is not a top tier fighter at all.
I agree.
You know, he
I think
was
he's a tough guy, but without a doubt, nowhere near the top 10.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? He was in the cage with the guys you mentioned, and those guys aren't even, top I wouldn't say, like, top 10 ranked guys or whatever, and he got his ass kicked. Knocked out both times. All right? TKO with Struve in the second round on UFC on Fuel, and then, obviously, we seen what Nelson did to him. You know what I mean? 30 seconds, he knocked him out, overhand right. No, Herman isn't anybody that, I think special. Did they cut him? Do you know if they cut him? Because he lost 3 in a row.
His record ended up being 1-3 following the loss. I'm almost entirely sure he got the X. Yeah,
exactly. So no, you know what? Minotaur Nogueira, he really hasn't looked, that good in a long time. And there's nothing against this guy. This guy's body's been through a lot of abuse. I kind of like to, not exactly liken him to Tito Ortiz, because he's a way better fighter than Tito Ortiz. Sorry, Tito, I love you. You're one of my heroes, but spade is spade. You know what I'm saying? He needs to go. He's proven a lot in this sport. He's helped this sport grow. He seems like a nice person. He's got a great heart, but as far as fighting, but he needs to go. When Mir snapped his arm like that, listen, there's no shame in tapping. All right, seriously, it doesn't make you less of a man. Everybody knows you're a tough motherfucker. You should have tapped. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But yes, I think his time is come and gone, and Nog needs to get out of there. He's proven everything he needs to prove. He won both his fights in Brazil. He's always going to be a legend. He's always going to be great. And don't tarnish that legend. Don't hang around too long.
I agree, and you know what? What better way to go on? And as I mentioned before, he's actually Dave Herman's 1-3 for those listening. 1-3 in the UFC, not his MMA record. That is. He went on a win that I knew he was going to win. I think that he should have taken in. After the post-fight conference, they did confirm that both Dana White and Nogueira himself both confirmed that he will continue fighting, which I wish, like, for the various reasons you had mentioned, I wish he didn't. I wish he would leave on a super high note, that awesome win in his home country, had all his countrymen behind him, big win, co-main event. It would be amazing to see him cement his career on a win and not something like the Velasquez loss.
Exactly. And, a lot of people, they always talk about, how Nogueira, his chin and this and that, and, I think he has a good chin. I always thought that Nogueira could have been finished, you know what I'm saying, a long time, especially in that Heath Herring fight. When Heath Herring hit, I'm talking about the UFC one, when he hit him with that kick, Herring, again, no disrespect to Heath Herring, I like him as a fighter, but he's a fucking moron. He should have went, Nogueira was rocked. Guys are like just deathly afraid of his guard. He's got that Mike Tyson fear, you know what I'm saying? And they should be, but Nogueira was fucking rocked, bro. Finish the fight. You need that killer instinct. And I think that's one of the problems Heath Herring lacked, besides the point, I'm going off topic. But,
yes, I wasn't surprised Kane knocked him out. You know what I mean? And, you know, it's just, it comes to the point, it's like you're saying, Steve, he needs to go. He absolutely should have retired on Brazil on top and not be like somebody like a Chuck Liddell or like a Mirko Krokop, who we both are fucking huge marks for. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, without a doubt. Let me tell you, I don't even try to, you just brought back memories, specifically the Mirko Krokop Gonzaga kick, that still gives me chills thinking about. So, yes, I understand, and as huge fans of fighters like Krokop, Liddell, Big Nog, it would literally crush me. And, of course, everyone is, Nog's fans, if you see him get taken out the way he got taken out by Mir, or Big Nog, Velasquez, or, there's a lot of confident fighters in the heavyweight division that would crack him. And honestly, the way I had it set up is that I think his next fight should really be against either the winner of the Shane Carr and Roy Nelson fight, in my opinion. And honestly, I think Roy Nelson and Shane Carr would put, at this point, a beat down on Big Nog. I just would not want to see such an excellent legacy tarnished anymore.
Absolutely. I think Nelson can beat him too. Nelson has power in his hands. He has a great fucking chin. That we're not even going to contest that. That's the footage is out there. Especially against
very
Verdun.
underrated fighter for the record.
Yeah, you know what? Nelson is an underrated fighter, but I think Nelson will beat him. Nelson has great jiu-jitsu game. He trains a lot, or he did. I don't know if he still does, but he used to train a lot of guys in the UFC in jiu-jitsu. So he's got jits. And Carwin will knock him the fuck out. You know what I mean? And I'm not a big Carwin fan, or even necessarily a big Roy Nelson fan. Just because watching a couple episodes that I've seen of The Ultimate Fighter, I think he's a dickhead. I don't like how he's coaching his guys. I have a lot of heart and I'm real passionate and loyal. That's the kind of guy I am. I don't see that in him, and that pissed me off. Where initially I liked him because he was fat like me, my size pretty much, and I kind of was like, hey, I'm Roy Nelson. I'm fat. I can knock guys out. I'm tall. You know what I mean? But now that I get to see him, it's like, fuck him. You know what I mean? But, it is what it is. So.
That's actually going to be another December. Speaking of that, just reminded me of a bunch of fights. Considering we're on a bit of a hiatus until November. It's actually been a hiatus. November 10th is the next show, which features Kung Lee versus Rich Franklin, which is a fight I'm actually excited about.
Dude, I'm super stoked, dude. For real, I'm super stoked. Can't wait for that one.
Who are you taking?
Oh man, put me on the spot, huh? Put me on the spot.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's why you're here. Because I want stuff like this. Shit, I'm gonna have to go with Franklin. I'm gonna have to, but you know what? I don't know, because I can see Kung knocking him out, dude. I really can. I can see it. Yeah, because if Kung gets his cardio up and Kung, is Kung, I think he can beat him. Then again, Kung's also 40. He also Vanderlei fucked him up, and Franklin destroyed Vanderlei. Or I'm sorry, So it's just, I'm gonna have to stick with my original pick and go with Rich Franklin.
I agree. I was going to go with Franklin by unanimous decision, and you hear that here now, everybody. Franklin by decision, unanimous. Honestly, I think Kung is a really talented fighter. His record in Shu and what he brings to the MMA game is incredibly awesome to watch. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge Kung Lee fan. I really thought he was very, especially on the internet, very, very
overhyped.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
That's probably the word I'm looking for.
He was absolutely overhyped.
But I thought that he lacked certain MMA experience. He's only had about 10 fights, and if he had taken a little less time, don't get me wrong, if I had to choose between a movie career and MMA fighting, clearly I would have done the movie career as well.
Absolutely.
But had he, it reminds me of Brock Lesnar in a way, that had they had time to own their craft and train more in MMA, Kung Lee would have beaten Anderson Silva. But all those times people had said Anderson Silva, Kung Lee, I don't know if you're ever trapped in those conversations and arguments. I thought Anderson would have trampled him any time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely would have trampled him.
I feel Franklin's going to be effective. And you know what? Franklin doesn't get enough credit for being one of the smartest fighters in the game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I really, 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 truly would like to see Franklin get his last shot at the middleweight title, whether Anderson Silva holds on to it or it's Franklin Silva 3. I think, something that I want to see. I think it could be a marketable fight. And, people sleep on Franklin. All his losses are to top level guys. His first loss that he ever lost was to Lyoto Machida. That was in Brazil. Who was the federation? Was that? You know off the top of your head?
That was actually, I believe, for Machida's. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It was an Inoki show.
Okay, all right. So yeah, you know what I'm saying. Then he lost to Silva twice. You know what I'm saying. I don't really consider the Forrest Griffin fight too bad. Forrest is a fucking monster. He's a legit 6'3". He probably walks around at 250. So you know he wasn't 205 when he fought. He was just outsized, and it's not like he got destroyed either. He beat him by unanimous decision.
No.
You know, and I think Franklin is definitely still a threat to a degree. And you listen, anybody who has one punch knockout power, they have that puncher's chance. Okay, proof and point. We'll talk. Transition a little bit. Someone like a George Foreman, won the title world title again when he was 50 years old, I think it was, or 40 years old, something like that. If you remember that fight against, I don't know if you watch boxing. I used to be a big boxing fan. Against Shannon Briggs. This is a true story. I actually bet my cousin at the time. I probably was like 12 maybe. I don't even know. And I was like, listen, Foreman's going to win. No way, because Briggs at the time was all hyped up. Sure enough, he took his licks. And Franklin has a good chin. And boom, one punch, and it was over. So I absolutely think that Franklin has a shot to do some things still. He's 37. If he's going to do some things, he's got to do them now. I also think political-wise, because let's be honest, Steve, there's a lot of politics in MMA and in the UFC. We're calling a spade, that Dana will, I say push because it's the wrestler in me, but I don't want to keep saying that. Market him more and give him more opportunities. Do you agree? And we got to wrap this up. So, do you agree or what?
I definitely agree, honestly, especially if he manages to prove me wrong and score a finish of Kungli. If he ends up actually knocking out Kungli in a pathetic fashion, I definitely see it.
Absolutely, and I would not be surprised if Kungli gets knocked out. It's like you said, Kungli, whatever, he was fed, fighters that were less than him to hype him up during Strikeforce, being Vietnamese, to the culture out there, which is fine. It's a business. He was in with Scott Coker, the movie deal when Strikeforce was first starting. He was one of their early stars, but he usually fights once a year. He got knocked out by Scott Smith. Let's not forget that. And if Scott Smith can knock you out, you're getting knocked the fuck out by Rich Franklin. Steve, it's been great having you. Thanks a bunch, buddy. And I'm going to ask you now. I already know the answer, but for the fans, you want to do this again next week?
Without a doubt. I had a blast, and amen, we'll do it. I'm excited.
All right, brother. You wanna plug anything before you leave? Your Twitter, Facebook, whatever?
You know what? I'm always on Facebook, not under Brett's Uncle Steven, but I'm always there, a ton of awesome photos. And you can follow me through FWE on the Family Wrestling Entertainment page, or you can check me out on my own Facebook on Steven Demang. And also you can check out my blog at firstintensport.com. I'm the Mixer. You can check me out on there. I always give predictions, which is why I called. Several of them. I have a few articles lined up for you guys to read. It's good stuff. Make it happen.
Nice. Absolutely. Everybody, that was my buddy Steve of Family Wrestling Entertainment, where you can check them out at fwewrestling.com. Thank you, Steve, once again, and next week we'll do it. Take care, buddy.
Sounds good, man.